Hello everybody, welcome to Monday's video. I hope you're all well at the start of a brand new week. Another big week for Celtic. No weekend first team action. We had our game against Dundee called off due to some pretty horrendous weather in Scotland. Storm Owen seemed pretty bad, I must say, and Celtic called the game off relatively early on Saturday due to damage at Celtic Park. Pretty bad damage, but the stadium will recover. The game has been rearranged for next Wednesday at 7:45. Of course, the storm isn't the real reason for the game being called off. It was clearly of Celtic's own doing, so that Kieran Tierney and Jota can be eligible for the next game against Dundee, because the league is really, really close at the moment. Yeah, it's all part of the big conspiracy, everyone. Just in terms of your mental calendar, perhaps, if you have such a thing, February is going to be another pretty busy month. At the moment, we've got 6 domestic games currently scheduled, and we'll also have 2 Champions League playoff legs in there too. So we're looking at 8 games in a 28-day month. Now, that is pretty hectic. January itself has been pretty manic, and it will end our final game against Aston Villa on Wednesday, and that should be pretty fun. So, yep, that's where we're at. Let's have a look at what else is going on. Obviously, mainly transfer stuff today. That's what's really getting people going. A lot has happened since Friday. In a weird way, and I don't know how you feel about this, maybe not the worst thing that there wasn't a game at the weekend. I know we always want to see Celtic playing, but I just feel like there's so much been happening that it will do us no harm maybe just to have the game a little further down the line. But yeah, a lot has happened since I last did a video on Friday morning. We had Brendan Rodgers' press conference on Friday that was pretty interesting, confirmed a lot of stuff. Just going to go through that briefly, just so we all know where we stand here. So on Friday, Brendan Rodgers confirmed that Kyogo Furuhashi was heading. He said, Kyogo has expressed an interest to leave a number of months back, and obviously that expression becomes stronger and it gets to the stage where he clearly really wants to leave. Sadly, we have to do a deal then and look to finalise that for him. He's been an incredible player for the club for the 3.5 years he's been here. He's not someone we wanted to lose, but we have to accept where he's at. No confirmation of Kyogo moving to Rennes yet. There was suggestions yesterday, probably WhatsApp whoppers, saying that Kyogo had potentially failed a medical. I would say that's most likely going to be nonsense. I think it'll be confirmed pretty soon, possibly even today. The same can be said, I think, for Jota. Brendan Rodgers also confirmed that he was coming in from Rennes, saying hopefully we can confirm that in the next 24 hours. Obviously, that hasn't happened, but Jota has now been photographed in Scotland. So that's a deal that's going to happen as well. Just some more quotes on Jota from the manager. He says, I've spoken to him at length. The challenge always is, and I know through first-hand experience, that when you've created a legacy, lots of people will tell you to come back and maybe that legacy can be dented. But my feelings to him and advice to him was to come back and grow that legacy to be even greater. If you're not happy in your work where you are or how it's going for you, you know that this is a place where you will improve, you will develop, and he's at a different moment in his life now as well, even though he's been away only a few years. I think that he'll come back with a real motivation. He's got undoubted quality, but still got things he can improve to develop. He's still young, and if the deal comes through, I'll be really excited to work with him. So we're going to have Jota on our books, probably on the left wing, but we know Jota can play on both sides. We're also going to have Nicholas Kuhn still in our books, and quite possibly 2 of the best wingers we've had at the club over the past 10 or 15 years. I know there's been a few others, but Scott Sinclair, etc. But for me, looking at like the 2 wingers over the last decade and a half that have really I've rated so highly and have really got me out of my seat, Jota and Kuhn, and the prospect of having those 2 in opposite wings in our team is very exciting. And Nicholas Kuhn has been having his say on Jota as well. He says, I knew Jota was here before. I didn't see too many games of his. We want to do something to strengthen the squad in this period, as we have a lot of games to go, and I am happy that someone is coming in. Kyogo was important for us, and we need quality players. Competition is always good, and you need people to push you, and I think we've had that already throughout the whole season. So yeah, Nicholas Kuhn obviously will be aware of Jota. I guess players speak in the dressing rooms and Jota's name would come up. Again, just the prospect of those two being in the same team. And then also having Dyson Maeda as well, and James Forrest as well. Kuhn, Jota, Maeda and Forrest as our 4 wingers. That's incredibly strong. Very exciting stuff. So I guess the question is, we're sitting here Monday, 27th of January. The window closes in a week's time, I think. And you're probably wondering, is today going to be the day where we get the breakthrough? Well, we have Kyogo away and Jota in. I guess these things do tend to drag on a little bit. I reckon, and it's just a kind of thought I've got, that the deals might be confirmed, maybe not right together, but very kind of closely after each other. I guess it makes sense from a Celtic point of view to deal with the undoubted blow of Kyogo leaving, to then announce the return of Jota very soon after. So I expect that to happen. That might be why neither deal's been announced at this stage, but hopefully it happens today, because it would just be good to get things going. And clearly, Kyogo leaving is difficult, and as I say, people are working through the grief process on that one. For me, Jota coming back is excellent, and I can't wait to see him back in action. So I'm pretty positive about things. Clearly, Jota isn't a Kyogo replacement, so we do still need to bring a striker in. And Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that he wants to sign a striker, even though Dyson Maeda can play there. It was put to him on Friday, could Maeda potentially fill in here for Kyogo? And he said, yeah, Maeda can play there, but I still want to bring in another striker. So that's very positive. Mathias Kvistgaarden, the Brøndby forward, is the guy that's been spoken about most. There's been more chat about him over the weekend. He's 22 years old, second top goal scorer in the Danish Superliga at the moment, Denmark under-21 international too. So he's very much seen as someone, I think, that's arriving on the big scene, and probably just needs his next move to really kind of realise his potential. Lots of speculation about him at the moment. We've been linked, I think Frankfurt, there's been a few other clubs mentioned as well. At the weekend, he told the Danish outlet 3 Point, there is a lot you can read about and listen to, but I try to ignore it as much as possible and just concentrate on training here every day. In the end, as a player, I can't really do anything except do the best I possibly can, whether it's for one place or another. That's the way it is. So again, typical footballer, lots of speculation about him. He's clearly not going to come out and say, yeah, I want to go to Celtic. He owes a lot to Brøndby. And I was actually looking under the article from 3 Point, and they kind of had a comment section, and a lot of Danish football fans, a lot of Brøndby fans saying various things, and they all seem to be very positive about Kvistgaarden. They think that he has real potential to become a full Denmark international, and a lot of them saying that Celtic might be the logical next step for him, especially with Kasper Schmeichel at the club. A lot of other people saying, and I guess I kind of take this as a compliment to Kvistgaarden rather than a slagging of Celtic, but a lot of them saying that they're a bit surprised he would go to Scottish football, that he wouldn't go to a more major league. So I think he's quite highly rated. And another kind of common theme in the comments was that a lot of Brøndby fans really feel the club have to hold on to him for the rest of the season. They're currently 5th in the Danish league, but they're only 6 points behind top of the table Copenhagen. They're currently midway through their season in the winter break. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brøndby really just say no to selling Kvistgaarden at the moment. And that's just non-negotiable, and then we look at signing him in the summer. I think they're talking 10 million lowest fee, possibly going up to, I saw £13.5 million mentioned. So he's highly rated, but we've got that money as well. And clearly we need to spend money to replace Kyogo, because you've got a brilliant striker, reliable goal scorer, big game player leaving the club. We need to really... We're never going to sign the finished article, I don't think, but we need to find someone who can certainly do what Kyogo's been doing, and ideally with maybe a little bit more upside potential-wise. So potentially we're looking at signing a player on loan for the second half of the season. I'm not sure things are going to play out that way at all, but that seems to be maybe what's being said if Bromley don't want to sell Kvistgaarden. But of course, there'll be other players that we're interested in as well. One thing that Brendan Rodgers did point out on Friday was that the club have known about Kyogo wanting to move on for a while. So they're going to, I would hope, and I'm well aware this hasn't always been the case in the past, but I would hope they've kind of got a plan and have had a plan of what to do when Kyogo moves on. I don't think it's a massive shock at all that Kyogo's leaving. I think it's kind of been scripted for a wee while. And now hopefully they're ready to move before the end of the window and sign another striker. Even if it's a loan player between now and the end of the season, maybe that might just be what has to happen, but it has to be of a certain level because Adam Ida's not there yet. Dyson Maida's fine, but I think Brendan Rodgers clearly sees him as more of a winger than a forward. And obviously guys like Johnny Kenny, Daniel Cummins are nowhere near yet there at the moment. So, interesting times. Our game may have been off on Saturday, but there was still some other games. In fact, every other Premiership match still went ahead. This is what happened. Aberdeen 0, St Mirren 3. They're just having an absolute shocker at the moment. Hearts beat Kilmarnock 3-2. Ross County 1, Hibernian 1. St Johnstone got a win, 2-1 at home to Motherwell. And then on Sunday, Rangers came from behind to beat Dundee United 3-1 at Tannadice. It leaves the league table looking like this. Celtic 10 points clear now. We do have a game in hand, though, at home to Dundee. As I say, that's just going to be in, 9 days or so we don't need to kind of wait long to play that game in hand. Yeah, things are still looking really good, but, only 10 points clear. I'm kind of joking when I say that, but, we can't afford to take our eye off the ball too much. Let's just keep winning games and we'll be absolutely fine. In terms of this week, though, it's obviously European football that we're focusing on. It's our final match of the UEFA Champions League phase, and we're going to Villa Park to face Aston Villa. It's a cracking stadium, and it's going to be pretty cool to see Celtic play there. They were at home at the weekend. They drew 1-1 with West Ham. The big thing to be taken away from the game was there was a bit of injury news, and Villa's, star centre-back Tyrone Mings went off the pitch in tears after picking up an injury. He, I believe, had like an ACL injury. He only returned from that a couple of months ago, so it seems like something pretty bad's happened there with him. Very much seems like he's going to miss Wednesday's game and a lot longer as well. And it's a bit of a nightmare for Villa at the back because they're also without Pau Torres. I think he's got a foot injury. And Diego Carlos recently left them to go to Turkey, I think Fenerbahce. So they've only really got Ezri Konsa as their only real recognised centre-back going into Wednesday night's game. Luca Dean, the left-back, was playing at centre-back yesterday when Mings went off. So potentially Villa struggling a bit in their backline. Could we capitalise on that? Possibly we're also without, Dyson Maeda suspended. Obviously Kyogo is not going to be a Celtic player on Wednesday night. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one Wednesday. I don't know quite how to feel about it. I think they have the real motivation to try and finish in the top 8, but it doesn't seem like things are perfect at Villa right now. I mean, I don't tend to keep up with English football too much, but I did see some stuff, Jamie Carragher saying that certain combinations aren't working in the Villa team. So clearly still a very good side. They've done really well in the Champions League. But I think the pressure's all on them this Wednesday, and it's great just going into a game like this knowing we don't need a result. Obviously, we'd very much like one, but I think we can just go and prove ourselves. And I think Celtic often kind of match up quite well against English teams. So I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a really good game, and I think we might surprise people a little bit, but clearly getting a result away to Aston Villa is a tough ask. Having said that, though, I don't know if Villa are as good as Atalanta or even possibly Leipzig, and we did all right against them. So, looking forward to it. We'll continue the build up to that game tomorrow. We'll cover any transfer news. If there's any deals confirmed today, I'll give my thoughts on that. So yeah, we'll just settle into the new week, everyone. Lovely to have you with us. Quieter weekend with no Celtic games, but things are still moving at a pretty rapid pace. So enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I'll catch up with you this time tomorrow.